The moment my heels hit the stage, I felt it. An emptiness so loud it drowned out the applause. 3 front-row seats with my family's names taped neatly across them sat untouched, cold and humiliating under the spotlight. And just as I reached the bottom step, my phone vibrated with the message that explained their absence and hinted at the betrayal already unfolding behind my back. If you feel these stories deep down, I'd love to have you stay. And if you want to support the channel, subscribing truly helps. My name is Marley Bennett, 26, and until that afternoon, I'd convinced myself that being the responsible one, the steady one, would eventually translate into being loved. I believed effort could earn affection. I believed presence could be traded for loyalty. That day taught me how wrong I was. The morning had started with a dangerous kind of peace. Snow pressed softly against my Milwaukee window, muting the world into a calm I should have known not to trust. I brewed cheap coffee in my chipped navy mug, the one that had survived every apartment, every setback, every almost breakdown, and took one long breath before slipping into my gown. I let myself imagine something painfully small. My mother's red scarf in the audience, my stepfather's awkward thumbs up, my sister fidgeting in her seat pretending she wasn't proud of me. Moments so ordinary they should have been effortless. My phone stayed silent. Not even a good luck. Not even a "where's the auditorium again?" I blamed the traffic, the weather, their usual chaos. Anything but the truth I wasn't ready to name. When the dean handed me my diploma, I smiled for strangers' cameras, pretending not to notice the vacant row in front of me, pretending its emptiness didn't land like a punch. But the message waiting on my lock screen after the ceremony, casual, careless, and sent from a living room full of laughter, told me exactly what they were doing instead of being there. It wasn't just neglect, it was a clue. The first breadcrumb leading toward a betrayal so calculated it would burn down everything I thought I understood about family, and it was the moment that forced me, for the first time in my life, to stop choosing them over me. On the walk back to the parking lot, the cold February air didn't just sting my skin. It felt like it was peeling back layers I'd spent years trying to protect. At first, it was only disappointment, the familiar ache I'd learned to swallow since childhood. I told myself I'd brush it off, go home, heat up leftover soup, let the day settle into something tolerable. But things didn't go the way I pictured them. My phone buzzed as I stepped between rows of cars, still carrying the warmth of families celebrating their kids' achievements. A part of me, small, naive, stubborn, still hoped for something. Even a quick "proud of you, kiddo." Anything. It wasn't that. It was a photo. My family's living room, crowded, loud, plates of wings and nachos spread across the coffee table. My mom laughing with her whole body, her head thrown back, joy spilling into a moment I wasn't part of. The caption read, "Best Super Bowl Sunday ever." Something tightened in my chest, something in between, like realizing the ground beneath your feet was never solid to begin with. I stood still, letting the cold bite at my fingers as the image blurred and sharpened again. They didn't forget. They never planned to come. I kept walking, telling myself not to cry in a public lot where strangers were hugging their kids and taking photos on tailgates. The diploma folder in my hand felt heavier, almost mocking in its weight, like proof of years I'd spent trying to earn what should have been freely given. Then came the second buzz. Another picture, my stepfather raising a glass toward the camera, a toast, a celebration. Not for me, but for a football game they could watch every single year. That was the crack, the kind that doesn't make noise but spreads fast. By the time I reached the far corner of the lot, my legs felt unsteady. The world tilted, not enough to make me fall, just enough to expose how much I'd been holding together with sheer willpower. I sank onto the curb, the concrete ice cold through my gown. Families loaded into cars around me, laughter echoing, someone shouting, "We're so proud of you." Words I'd rehearsed hearing but never actually heard. Then the third buzz. A message this time. "My sister. Mom said you wouldn't mind. You know graduations aren't really our thing. Our thing? Like loyalty was optional, like showing up was a personality choice. A slow heat ignited in my chest, the kind that starts quietly, insisting on being felt. I typed a response, deleted it, typed again, deleted that one too. No words could hold what I felt: humiliation, grief, brutal clarity. That was when the fourth buzz came. But this one wasn't from them. It was from someone who actually cared. Aunt Helena. Saw the ceremony photos online. You looked stunning. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Call me when you can. Her message didn't hurt. It steadied something in me, like a warm hand placed on a shaking one. For the first time that day, my breath left my body fully, shaky, uneven, but real. It lasted all of 5 seconds. Then my phone lit up again. This time it wasn't a person. It was a financial alert, one I'd never seen before. A charge I didn't recognize, a balance that made no sense, a warning that shouldn't have existed. And that was the moment the fuse caught flame. I didn't know it yet, but the betrayal I felt at graduation was only the prologue. The real devastation, the kind that would force me to rebuild my entire life, was still waiting. The financial alert sat on my screen like a sentence I didn't understand yet. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Apps do that sometimes. Random warnings, weird delays. But when I tapped it open, the number didn't disappear. It sharpened, a new account in my name, a balance I hadn't created, a payment I never authorized. My stomach dropped hard enough to steal my breath. I scrolled again, slower this time, praying my eyes were playing tricks on me. But the more I looked, the clearer the pattern became. Small charges spaced out over weeks, followed by a heavy transaction sitting like a bruise at the bottom of the list. A loan, a real loan, taken out in my name. My fingers went numb. For a few seconds, the world around me seemed to tilt, the cold air blurring into static. Graduation, empty seats, the pictures from the party, that was emotional pain. This was something else entirely. This was danger. I swallowed hard and pulled up the credit app, the one I'd checked maybe once every few months. My hands shook so badly I mistyped my password twice. When the report finally loaded, the screen filled with things I didn't recognize. Store cards, credit inquiries, accounts I'd never touched. Each one stamped with dates that lined up almost perfectly with every text I'd gotten from my family about small emergencies. A bill was due, the car needed repairs, Mom forgot to pay insurance. Mason lost his debit card again. I'd sent what I could when I could, thinking I was helping, thinking I was doing the right thing, carrying what they said they couldn't. And all the while, they'd been using something much bigger than my generosity. They had used my future. I stood abruptly, the cold curb scraping my palms as I pushed myself upright. A wave of nausea rolled through me, hot and dizzying. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to steady my breathing as families around me continued climbing into warm cars, laughing at private jokes, hugging their kids tighter than usual. I felt like I was watching life happen from underwater. My phone buzzed again. For a split second, panic seized me. Another alert? Another charge? Another violation? But it was Helena. "Sweetheart, call me. It's important." Something in the tone, gentle, urgent, told me she knew more than she'd said earlier. I hit call, pacing between two cars, the edges of my graduation gown brushing salt-stained pavement. She answered on the first ring. "Marley?" "Something's wrong," I whispered. My own voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded smaller, younger, the voice of a girl who'd spent years pretending her family's chaos was normal. "My credit. There are loans, cards, I don't..." Helena exhaled slowly, painfully. I was afraid of that. My heart lurched. Afraid of what? She hesitated, and that hesitation felt like someone pulling a curtain back inch by inch, revealing something I'd been shielded from my whole life. "Your mother called me last month asking if I would co-sign something for your brother," she said softly. When I refused, she hinted they might find another way. I didn't think they'd actually do it. I hoped I misunderstood. I pressed my hand against my forehead. They used my information? Sweetheart, Helena said, voice breaking with tenderness. They used you. A tremor moved through me, not sharp like anger, not hollow like sadness, but something deeper. A shift, a realization, the kind that changes how you breathe. They used my name, I repeated, barely audible. My credit, my life. Helena didn't contradict me. She didn't soften it with false comfort or excuses. That silence was confirmation. When she spoke again, her voice carried a steadiness I desperately needed. You need a lawyer, Marley. Someone who understands financial identity cases. This isn't something you handle alone. The word alone echoed, but not the way it usually did. This time, it didn't hurt. It clarified something. I had been alone for years, but now, for the first time, I wasn't choosing loneliness. I was choosing protection. I walked back toward my car, the wind cutting across my face, but I didn't feel cold anymore. Not the way I had earlier. This cold felt different, cleansing, bracing, the kind that wakes you up from a long, heavy sleep. Do you know someone? I asked. Yes, she said. Her name's Carmen. She's tough. She won't let them push you around. Push me around. God, that was my entire life, wasn't it? Okay, I whispered. Okay, I'll go. After we hung up, I sat in the driver's seat, hands gripping the wheel as if it could anchor me. My reflection in the rearview mirror looked unfamiliar, eyes red but sharper, cheeks flushed but set with something close to resolve. I had spent years believing love meant sacrifice, that loyalty meant endurance, that helping meant letting yourself be used because maybe one day they'd finally see your worth. But now the truth was undeniable. They hadn't just missed my graduation, they had trespassed into the most intimate part of my life, and they had done it without hesitation. I didn't know how deep the damage went. I didn't know how many accounts had my name attached. I didn't know what confrontation would look like, but I knew this. Whatever innocence I'd carried into that morning, it was gone. And in its place, quiet, steady, rising, was anger. Not destructive anger, not reckless anger. A purposeful, clarifying anger, the kind that doesn't burn you alive, the kind that lights the path out. I drove home in a kind of stunned quiet, the city passing me in streaks of gray and gold. I wasn't crying. I wasn't angry. I wasn't anything yet. It felt like my mind had stepped a few feet away from my body, watching from a distance as I turned the key, climbed the stairs, opened the apartment door. Everything felt muted, like sound underwater. The moment I sat down and opened my laptop, the numbness began to crack. Slowly at first, then faster. The credit report loaded, and there it was. Line after line of loans, cards, accounts, inquiries. Some small, some enormous, all of them wrapped around my name like vines choking something still growing. The longer I stared, the more every memory from the past few weeks slid into place with sickening clarity. Every emergency, every just this once, every "we'll pay you back next week" promise. Except they weren't asking for my money, they were spending my future. My throat tightened so suddenly it startled me. I pushed the laptop away and pressed both hands against my face, but the reality didn't budge, didn't soften, didn't blink. It just sat there, hard and undeniable. My phone buzzed. Helena. Carmen can meet tomorrow morning. She cleared her schedule. I stared at those words, feeling something shift inside me. It wasn't comfort. Not exactly. It was more like someone opening a window in a room I didn't realize had gone stale. Okay, I texted back. I'll go. That night, sleep never came. I drifted in and out, cold, restless, replaying every moment from the ceremony, every picture they sent, every excuse I had made for them. By the time the sun pushed its pale light through my blinds, the numbness had solidified into something sharper. Resolve. Carmen's office was warm, all deep wood and soft lighting. She greeted me with a firm handshake, and when she said my name, it sounded like she already understood more than I could articulate. "Show me everything," she said. So I did. I spread the papers, screenshots, alerts, my entire unraveling, across her desk. Carmen read quickly but carefully, her face hardening with each page. When she finally leaned back, her expression told me the truth before she said a word. "This wasn't accidental," she said. "This was intentional, and it's serious." I felt something inside me flinch, but I forced myself to stay still. "How bad is it?" She turned the laptop around gently. "They opened accounts using your personal information, pulled credit without consent, took loans connected to your social security number." Her voice didn't waver. "Marley, this is fraud." Hearing it out loud was like being dropped into icy water, a shock that stole breath, thought, everything. For a moment the room blurred at the edges. "And my family," I managed. Carmen didn't hesitate. "Yes, it appears they did this." There was no comfort in her tone, but there was clarity. And clarity, more than anything, anchored me. She outlined the steps. Freeze my credit, document every unauthorized account, submit disputes, consider a restraining order if they tried to retaliate or pressure me. I listened, absorbing every detail, every possibility, every consequence. But the moment that truly cut through me was when she said, "You're not responsible for protecting people who harm you." I didn't know I'd been waiting my whole life to hear those words. When I walked out of her office, the cold hit my face, sharp and bracing. For the first time in days, the air felt real. The sky felt real. My own body felt real. I wasn't drifting anymore. I wasn't locking my pain away to make excuses for people who wouldn't cross a street for me. I was waking up. In my car, my phone lit up again. A text from Mom. "Where were you last night? You missed the game." Not, "How was it?" Not, "We're proud of you." Not even sorry we couldn't make it, just the game. A cold, clean line drew itself inside me, quiet but unmistakable. A boundary I should have built years ago but was finally strong enough to name. They couldn't see me. They didn't want to. And I was done begging for even the smallest flicker of recognition. For the first time in my life, the truth didn't break me. It freed me. When I pulled into my apartment lot, the sky had already dipped into that blue-gray shade right before night fully claims it. I thought I'd walk upstairs, breathe for a moment, maybe try to feel normal again. But the second my key touched the lock, pounding erupted on the other side of my door, loud, frantic, angry. My heart slammed into my ribs. "Marley!" My stepfather's voice, sharp, furious, cut straight through the wood. "Open this door right now!" For a moment, I froze. Not because I feared him physically, but because some old part of me, the child who grew up smoothing conflict, shrinking to make room for everyone else, still reacted before I could think. Then he pounded again, harder. My breath snapped back into my lungs. I stepped silently to the peephole. His face filled the glass, red, wild with frustration. Behind him, my mother paced in that dramatic way she always did when she wanted to look wronged more than upset. My younger brother leaned against the hallway wall scrolling his phone, bored, like this was entertainment. The sight of them there, not worried, not apologetic, not even pretending, sent something cold and decisive through my veins. My phone vibrated. My landlord. "Your family is here," she whispered. "They're demanding entry. Do you want me to call the police?" I looked back at the peephole. My mother suddenly stilled, lifting her chin as if she could sense the shift inside me. My stepfather slammed his fist once more. "Yes," I whispered. "Call." Even through the door, he heard it. "Police?" he barked. "Seriously? We're your family." But family didn't kick down boundaries. Family didn't weaponize need. Family didn't steal from you and then demand more. Not anymore. Not for me. Within minutes, sirens approached faintly, then louder, then stopped. Officers stepped into the hallway, voices firm, calm, controlled. My stepfather tried to charm them, then intimidate them, then guilt them, all in the span of 30 seconds. My mother pressed a trembling hand to her chest, performing heartbreak like she was on stage. My brother recorded everything, narrating as if he were the victim, but none of it worked. The officers separated them, questioned them, redirected every excuse. One knocked on my door gently. "Ma'am, you're safe. They're leaving." I exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. As they escorted my family out, my mother twisted back toward me, her voice cracking with manufactured pain. "Marley, sweetheart, we just needed to talk. Why are you doing this? You're tearing this family apart." I didn't answer. Not because I was afraid, but because there was nothing left to say that they hadn't already proven they wouldn't hear. When the hallway finally went quiet, I sat on the floor, back against the door, hands trembling so hard my phone nearly slipped. The officers left. The building settled. Even the lights seemed to hum softer. For a long moment, I let myself feel everything I had been holding back. Grief for the family I never really had, anger at the years I lost trying to earn their love, fear at how close I had come to losing control of my entire future. But underneath all of that, something steadier throbbed. Relief. Not because anything was fixed, not because justice had been served, but because for the first time in my life, I hadn't opened the door. I had chosen myself. The next morning, I returned to Carmen's office. This time, walking through the door didn't feel like surrender, it felt like action. She organized my documents, fast, confident hands moving through the chaos of my life like she saw a path out of it. When she finished, she tapped the stack lightly. "This is enough," she said. "We can move forward." And just like that, the future shifted. Not magically, not completely, but undeniably. A restraining order was filed, my credit freeze processed, fraud reports submitted. With each step, the weight I'd carried for years began to loosen, slowly, painfully, but unmistakably. I walked out of her office into a cold Milwaukee morning that didn't feel cruel anymore. It felt crisp, electric, full of something unfamiliar. Possibility. Because if surviving my family was the hardest thing I'd ever done, perhaps rebuilding without them would be the most powerful. Looking back, it still amazes me how quiet the moment of transformation truly was. There was no applause, no dramatic swell of music, no spotlight catching the tears I refused to let fall. It was just me, sitting alone in a new apartment in a new city, realizing I had rebuilt an entire life from a foundation my family once tried to burn down. Healing didn't come in sudden bursts. It came in small, almost invisible shifts. Sleeping through the night without checking my bank apps, laughing without guilt, hanging my diploma on the wall not as a trophy, but as a reminder that I crossed that stage alone and survived it. The investigations, the hearings, the consequences, they all played out in official rooms with fluorescent lights and stacks of paperwork. But the real justice didn't come from the courts. It came from reclaiming myself. I used to believe family was something you owed, something you endured, something you protected even at the cost of your own joy. But the truth is simpler and far more liberating. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who shows up when the world goes quiet. If there's anything I hope you carry from my story, it's this. You are allowed to walk away from the people who hurt you, even if you once loved them more than yourself. You are allowed to rebuild. You are allowed to choose peace over obligation. And sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is simply not open the door. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. It means more than you know. If my story touched something in you, if it gave you clarity, courage, or even just a moment of recognition, I hope you'll stay connected. Feel free to like the video, subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories like this, and share it with someone who might need the reminder that survival is only the beginning. And if you've ever walked a path like mine, my heart is with you. You're stronger than you think, and brighter days are not just possible, they're waiting. I'll see you in the next video. There's another story coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.